hopefully I can add you. TrueBuzz start a live video. Hello. Okay, so I'm just trying to join here. Okay. So another live. Hopefully this week works better than last week. I am working out the kinks on a new streaming platform here. So a couple of quick things we've got. The newsletter comes out tomorrow. If you don't already subscribe for that, you can head over to churrobuzz.com, or you can sign up on our Facebook group, and the link is on our bio on Instagram, or it's on the bottom menu on the front of the Facebook page. And that comes out with all kinds of different things to do, whether it's websites to visit, recipes to try, activities for the kids or adults, all kinds of different things. We're trying really to cater the newsletter to the current health restrictions that we have. So that comes out tomorrow if you're not already signed up for it. And the BuzzBox, guys, what a great response we had to that. I am super excited. We have hit our goal, and we're trying to hopefully get together a few more because the orders are still coming in. You still have time to get orders in this week to get it if you need it shipped for Mother's Day, or if you're buying it for a birthday, your friends, anything else, by all means, drop us an email at info@churrobuzz.com. Super excited that people are excited for the BuzzBox. I've had a really good time putting them together. I'm starting to get all the product together for them now, so super exciting. If you haven't seen already, people have been lighting candles every night at 8:30. If that's something you want to get into as a show of community support for the tragic events that happened this weekend. And on Friday, we do have the Nova Scotia Remembers, which is happening at 7 o'clock on Facebook and on YouTube. So there is an event page on Facebook you can follow. We're going to be sending out the link as well on our newsletter, which comes out tomorrow. And I'm actually not sure the full details on what that entails. It's not listed on the Facebook group there now, but I've heard it on the radio, heard a lot of people talking about it. Should be a really good thing to tune into. Nova Scotia Remembers on Friday night at 7 p.m. So tonight we are talking with the illustrious Debbie Lawrence. Now, if you're not familiar with Debbie, you need to get on this train. I have met Debbie, I don't even know how many years ago, but I've had the extreme privilege to work with her on a personal side as well as a professional side. And I'm going to try and bring her in on Instagram here now, Debbie. So, excuse me for a second. My dog is going bonkers here behind me if you wonder what it sounds like. Debbie, are you watching me there on Instagram? No, I can't see you there. Okay, sorry. Usually I'm telling Instagram sorry on Facebook, but we got a request from somebody else there. Okay. Now, sorry if I saw someone else going through this the other day, trying to bring someone into their Instagram conversation where they couldn't, but I don't see you there. I think there's an icon at the bottom if you're joining into the live. That's oh, there you go. So how do I get you to join? Go live with. Oh, it says Debbie Lawrence unable to join. Now, you wouldn't have privacy settings or something for that, Debbie, would you? Yeah, you are watching, but for some reason it won't let me allow you to go live with me. Yeah, really weird. Okay, hang on. So I'm going to bring you on Facebook here first. Or, sorry, Instagram. I keep having this trouble with you every week. Okay, so going live, and there we go. We're working on one platform out of two. Sorry, guys. And now it won't let me do anything on Instagram. Okay, hang on one second, Instagram. I'm going to go out and come back in again. Sorry.
Okay, I'll hang here.
Yep, all the technology woes. Okay. You need different platforms for absolutely everything. So in order to have this feed go live on more than one platform, you need another service. So I'm hoping that's something that BeLive is going to bring in. Sorry, people, if you were just viewing and have to come back in and see the show. I'm so sorry. Okay, so I'm on there now, Debbie. If you watch the live, I'm just watching to see if your name pops up here for me. Oh, hi, Sam.
Kelly's there.
Yeah, I can just not see your name. So when you go live with someone, they can watch your videos and be able to watch you too.
I'm
Nope.
not even seeing that you're live.
Hmm. Try and like pull it down so it refreshes.
Yes, okay.
Okay. Oh, good. At least I got comments on this. Hi, Debbie Lawrence. Hi, Alicia went live on Instagram. Yeah, I've got it live, but I'm trying to join. Okay, I got you there
I'm
now.
not seeing anywhere where I can join, where I can.
No, it's I can see the people I can add, but for some reason your account says unable to join.
What do you want me to do?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm not sure what the setting is there. So I'm going to leave this going because they can still hear you. They just can't see you.
Okay.
So if you're just joining in, sorry, it always takes me a little bit of time to get going on both platforms and get everything synced. This is the new age that we're living in, unfortunately. We are talking with Debbie Lawrence today, and pretty well timed. We're going to have a conversation about compassion and kindness and self-care. And I think those are all things that we could use a little talking on this week. Anytime, but this week especially.
Especially this week, yeah.
So you were saying earlier that you teach. If people don't know who you are, let's give them a little introduction to who Debbie Lawrence and Abundant Living is.
Okay, so I'm a business strategist at my core. I'm a teacher. I spend a lot of time teaching corporate groups and clusters of business owners, and I also do some life coaching as well. I have podcasts, a Compassionate Leader School podcast. Yeah.
It's funny. I haven't listened to many podcasts since I've been off, but I have all yours queued up on my phone because I usually use my gym time or my walking time as my my podcast time. But that's one of the things that's kind of fallen to the wayside. But I'm really glad to hear that you're doing those.
Yes. Yeah. That was something I started to do back in January, and it's been very timely.
Yeah, no kidding. So I have had the good fortune myself to work with Debbie on classes through the advanced labor and education with
a lot of time at the wisdom table.
Absolutely. And I've even gone to you on a personal level, aside from that, to do one-on-one training with you, personal and business as well. And that's been invaluable to me.
Yeah.
What do you find people come to you for the most, would you say?
Oh my heavens. It's a blend. They predominantly come to me for business related things, but we don't separate our personal life from our business. And that's why the life coaching is an integral part of everything that we do, because they're interconnected. So often there's a business issue that we're talking about, but there's an underlying current of something that is happening in their personal life as well. And we spend a lot of time these days talking about leadership and trying to lead the kind of company that people want to lead and be the kind of leader that they want to be. And people are very intrigued with this idea of compassionate leadership. And that is my personal passion, to build a community of compassionate leaders. And when I talk a lot about intergenerational workplace. And when we look at the various generations, particularly the millennials and generation 2020 that are now starting to enter the workplace, what they tell us over and over again is that old-fashioned command and control style of leadership just doesn't work for them. And I say, quite frankly, I don't think it works for anybody. I don't care what generation you're from. So it's about how do we show up appropriately vulnerable, which is really challenging for a lot of people to do, because we've predominantly been trained to be armored, right? To put on our shield. Even through everything that is happening this week, I've been talking to groups of people for days. And for some people, it's very easy to talk about how they're feeling. And for other people, they're afraid to go there, and all points in between. And it's about not being armored up, not listening to those things that we have been told about suck it up and be tough and don't show your real emotion, or, if you want something done, you got to go do it yourself, those kinds of things, and learning what it really means to be a compassionate person first, and then a compassionate leader.
Yeah, you definitely have to be one before you can be the other. And I think we all can be compassionate leaders, even if you're not in a work position where you are leading.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we lead in our families. We lead in our personal life. Sometimes people don't have a formal title as a leader, but they often in a workplace, for example, will have more influence than the business owner might have. So, this notion that Robin Sharma wrote a book many years ago called A Leader Who Had No Title. And I think that everybody needs to dig in and really explore this thing called leadership. And as I say to my students in my programs, you cannot lead a group of people if you can't lead yourself well.
That's very true. And yeah, it really does start with yourself. And I know I really wanted to use my platform when this all happened this weekend. Like I so struggled on Sunday and Monday going like, okay, what can I do? Like what can I do? What do people need? And I couldn't even function.
And you know, that's the definition of compassion, Alicia, right? It's empathy is when we can connect with someone and connect with how they're feeling. We can imagine, oh my gosh, if I were in that situation, I would at least feel this and that would be awful. And then compassion takes empathy up a notch because it says, I can feel all those feelings. I can have all those emotions and I'm deeply driven to want to help or to support or to mentor or any of those things. So that's where that's coming from. That's real compassion.
Good to know. A few people asked me when I said I was doing this. I was like, do you think you'll get through without crying? I'm like, probably not. So I'm going to leave these here just in case.
You never know. Never leave home without tissues.
I love tissues in every room, but now especially, I do have some comments I want to throw out there. Kelly Ash, go figure, says, hi, Debbie Lauren.
Hi, Kelly Ash.
Charlotte says that okay, she sees us live, got the notification. Sarah says 2 of her favorite women. Your love too, Sarah. People confirming I was live. I couldn't see either. The wisdom table is Kelly's favorite table to sit at. Melissa Page Webster, Debbie is awesome.
I've missed you, Kelly Ash. Need you back at the table.
Yes, and she said you push us to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that includes showing the compassion component.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh my God, there's so many people tuning in here. That's great. Hi, Michelle. Charlie, excellent. Yes, the kitty, I had to put her up because otherwise she'll jump up and then she claws me and then you get a much different reaction. So I can't lock cats out of anything, unfortunately.
I locked Taco in the car, so he was.
Yeah, see, my dog isn't too bad. She's generally lethargic-ish around, but cats are a different breed. They just bawl at you until they get your attention. But I digress. Before we went live, you had mentioned today you had full classes today as regularly, and there was a lot of emotion and dealing today. So like what kind of things are people? So
it's interesting. You know, we do these 10-week, 40-hour programs. And today was the first day for 2 of my programs. And I did 2 programs yesterday. In light of everything that's been happening, normally on the first day of a program, everybody introduces themselves and we carry on. And then every subsequent week, as you know, Alicia, we do a check-in. But these are all people who've been at the table many times and they knew one another. And also, even if that wasn't true, I felt it was really important to check in and see how people were. And it's been interesting because ever since we go back when this COVID-19 thing started to happen, and so this is week 6 of it, we were at the tail end of programs, and we had, in one case, I had a week left, another case, I had 2 weeks left. And I decided that I would continue with the program online, and then we have been meeting as if we were coming for a program every week ever since. And then I reached out to people like you who had been at the table before, and so for the last 6 weeks now, I have been doing days, mornings, afternoons, and evenings with groups of people checking in and seeing how they were. And it was challenging enough with COVID-19 and to watch the roller coaster. You know, 1 week somebody would be great and focused, the next week would be like, oh my gosh, I'm completely lost and I feel unproductive and I'm beating myself up because I think I should be doing better and all of those things. But then what happened this past week, I was just, it's like COVID-19 on steroids. Oh, and checking in this morning, for example, just the grief that some people are feeling. And really, I felt privileged that they felt comfortable enough to share in the room and with the group exactly how they were feeling. And so, you know, we spent our first hour, everybody sort of checking in, and people were in different places for different reasons. And then we were able to refocus and spend the next 3 hours doing our programming. And I think on both days when we have done this, when people have been in some cases very raw and very appropriately vulnerable, but very vulnerable about what they were feeling. And then the group was able to offer some support. And of course, it's how we practice and how we learn how to be compassionate with one another, which is how we help to develop compassionate leaders. And I'm talking men and women, all sectors, all age groups. And then at the end, when we do our checkout, it was really good to hear so many of those people say that this was a really good way to spend the morning. And I feel less isolated right now. I feel connected, and I feel grounded enough to be able to go and do something with my day, even if it is just to make supper for the kids. Mm. Yeah, but there's deep, deep grief in our community, and understandably so. And it's just begun, really. You know, this is what we call a collective grief. We were already in anticipatory grief around what we were going to face when we talk about coming out of this COVID-19 thing. Nobody has any idea, because it's unprecedented, of course, what that's going to look like, what that impact is going to be. And so as human beings, it's natural for us to sort of think about what it could be. And because we're human, you know, we are generally wired to awfulize more. Most of us are, and we'll think about those darker scenarios. And so people were already dealing with that. And then just the whole loss of life and it's just loss everywhere. So we were in a collective grief. And then this happens. And it was just tremendous. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a whole new level of helplessness when you know you can't even physically reach out to those people and give someone a hug, or just that touch on the arm, or just anything, which I think
someone said this morning, she said, we're a casserole society. This is what we do. We're casserole people, which is just symbolic of how we get together and how we look after one another. And you're absolutely right. The fact that we physically have to be separated is really, really, it's rough. And at the same time, I am inspired by how people are using technology and social media platforms and creating groups and inspiring us to go out at 8:30 at night.
Yeah, I was just going to bring up a Michelle, and she commented, I need to hug someone. I was going to say, even Michelle has reached out. She's like, okay, I'm an introvert. I keep my distance, but by God, I'm ready for hugs now. And I was like,
pretty bad when the huggers are looking for a hug, when the non-huggers are looking for hugs, right?
Yeah, I've said many times on the lives now since we've been doing them, social distancing, like people keep talking about, you see the memes about the introverts and how this is their paradise. Like they've been training for this for so long. I was like, well, check in with the extroverts because we're not okay.
Yes.
Thing, right? So yeah, when the introverts are finally like, okay, I need some human touch now, you know, it's reaching different levels for sure.
And just, it's an interesting a thought that I keep having is, I wish when this began, we didn't call it social distancing. I wish we called it physical distancing, because we need to be physically distant, but we absolutely more than ever need to be socially connected.
That's a good point. I never thought of it like that. I have found myself wishing they would stop saying that gatherings of 5 people or more without attaching unless you're in the same household or state as being apart, because I think that's what happened with the most confusion with people was like, well, we're only 5 people so we can go hang out. It's like, no, you can't, because you're not in the same house, so you have to stay this far apart. And that to me was where that whole situation went wrong so quickly.
Yeah. And here's something I've offered it to my clients and students, and I do these wisdom table talks on Facebook Live. If you normally would connect with somebody on a monthly basis, under COVID-19, you have to be checking in with them at least on a weekly basis. If you normally would check in on somebody on a weekly basis, you need to be doing it every single day. And if you checked in with somebody on a daily basis, you now need to be checking in multiple times a day. That's how much connection we need. It's really, really important to humans that we need to feel connected. We need to feel that we belong, that somebody's thinking about us.
Hema said, yes, Debbie, I don't use social distancing as a term for that reason. Yeah, it is a very good point. There's a big difference between physical distancing and social distancing. And I never made that connection until you said it, actually.
Yeah. So I tried to think of it as physical distancing.
Yeah. If you're just tuning in, we're talking with Debbie Lawrence on Instagram and Facebook as Debbie Lawrence Official of Abundant Living. And we're having a conversation about compassion and kindness and self-care in personal lives, in professional lives, anything you want to chime in with. If you have questions with coping, with resources, just want to say hi and get a virtual hug. Sorry, I couldn't get it to work on Instagram there. It wouldn't let me connect to her, but hopefully you can hear her okay. And any questions that come through on here, I can ask down here. I was going to say I'm getting slightly better with the technology thing, but that would be a lie because I still can't get it to work on this platform.
You're doing your best.
Doing the best. It's better than poor Raj last week where we had to FaceTime him in on my laptop, on my phone to my laptop
Oh,
camera, but at least Be Live was great to work with me and figure out why that didn't work. So yeah, so compassion and kindness and self-care, and a lot of people are talking about the self-care things. I know myself, I started off like I'm not someone that ever has 2 days off in a row, let alone going into 6 weeks. So I really tried that first week once I got over the emotional roller coaster of randomly crying and what's going on kind of thing. I started to really enjoy the downtime and the self-care things of painting my nails or enjoying not having a schedule and things like
yep.
that. I mean, sometimes, especially now, it's going a lot deeper for people. Do you have people are asking you for self-care tips or how what they can do?
Yes. So here's where I will start with that. And this comes from
That's
my
a loaded question, I realize.
partner. Yeah, my husband has been a great teacher for me to remind me that stress and grief and any of those things is not a competition, first and foremost. And so sometimes we get comparative and we think, well, mine, I don't have as much a reason to be as stressed as I am because my circumstances are different than somebody else's. It's not a comparative thing. And I think that I did a post about this week that it really is so important that we be gentle with ourselves. And it's okay that you get up today and like I was talking about how every day I try to do 3 things. I've always been wired this way. When I brush my teeth, I'm thinking about 3 things I want to get done. Well, there have been some days during the last 5 weeks. Monday was one of them. It's really hard to focus. It's just you start to do something and you just would just God, I don't know if I got it in me, or you get partway through it, and or something that would take you a half hour was taking 2 hours to do because I just wasn't focused. And it was a tough day, and I just allowed it. I finally said, look, I'm just going to give into it, and I'm not going to push myself that hard. So I always had the intention of wanting to do 3 things, but those 3 things, quite frankly, under these circumstances, because there ain't nothing normal about this, right? There was somebody recently who said, we're not working from home. We are at home in the middle of a crisis trying to get some work done and just trying to get stuff done. That's where we are. And that was before this massacre this weekend. So again, that just takes it to a whole new level for us. But if your 3 things that you got done were that number 1, you got out of bed. Number 2, you brushed your teeth. And number 3, you managed to make supper for the kids, even if it was craft dinner. If that's where you are, then that's okay. It only should start to concern you if you're 7 days into it and you haven't gotten off the sofa yet. But it's okay to have those days. And you'll have other days where you will be focused and on fire and you'll think, wow, every day was like today. And then tomorrow it won't be the same. It's because we have this unrealistic, unfounded expectation that somehow it should be normal. And we keep forgetting to tell ourselves that there's absolutely nothing normal about it. And of course, if you want to think about things that you need to do, I think having some sort of a routine is really important. The people who are doing the best mentally are the people who have stuck to some sort of a routine. It may not have been their pre-COVID routine, but it is a routine. And they do things like, I get up and I take a shower and I get dressed so that if the doorbell rang, which is not going to ring, I wouldn't run away. Right? It's not. Nobody's coming. But if I had to go to the pharmacy, I wouldn't have to rush. It's about feeling like I'm going somewhere. For some people, I had someone this morning who said, I was really excited to put makeup on. Like I got up and did my hair and put makeup on. I put earrings in. I'm wearing my pajama pant bottoms, but on the upper part of me, I actually feel good. So, and it's having, like, I have a routine in the morning that I do. And I have decided that I need to be in my home office by 9 o'clock in the morning. And then I have a startup routine for that. And I hit it 85 to 90% of the time right now. And every day until my programs began, it was really lovely. My husband and I stopped at noon. We got lunch ready and we had lunch with the Prime Minister. And then after the Prime Minister, we finished our coffee with Governor Cuomo in his press conference out of New York. And then at 3:15, I spend time with the Premier when I can. Like it's really important to have some routine and some structure to your day. And if you have children, it is really important that they have structure. They need structure. And And I think for me, for example, I've had to minimize my exposure to media. So I check it, as I said, check in with the Prime Minister, Governor Cuomo, Premier. I'll watch the 6 o'clock news, and I'll do my social media feed a couple of times a day. Allow myself 15 minutes. I've really had to crunch it down, and especially today, yesterday, the day before, it wasn't healthy for me. That was not going to help me. And then the other thing, of course, we know is that when people spend too much time on social media, they do that whole comparative thing, and that's not healthy for them as well. It's really important to get out and move. You and I were joking before we went on the air about people eating and gaining weight. And originally I said to you, people were calling it the COVID 50, and now they're calling it the COVID 50. I get somebody whose routine every Friday morning is put her jeans on.
No.
Friday morning jean check-in, and I say, God love you, because that's like a little reality check. Right?
Yeah. It's so a couple of things. I just want to go in when you're talking about schedule. Kelly is very on board. They got to have a schedule.
Yep.
Michelle said the routine of working on a large client project for hours each day is saving my sanity. It gives me such purpose and a feeling of helping and achieving. Yeah. Brenda said virtual hugs for everybody. And Carrie tuned in and said, through all of this, the shower is the only thing that gets me going. My self-talk in the shower is all about, okay, what's the next step? Next, just one day at a time.
Yeah.
And me loves Debbie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
know, Carrie.
Yeah.
I've struggled greatly with schedule, as I talked to you about.
Let's talk about it. Let me do some coaching with you around your schedule.
Yeah, I'm getting, so we met on Wednesday night. Friday morning, I was supposed to start a class. Didn't even know it was Friday. Didn't know what time it was. And usually my routine is I check my email first thing off the bat in the morning. And I didn't this morning. I was like, no, I'm going to get up. I'm going to do this. Probably about shortly after 10, I had done my workout. I was still sweating. I had thrown this new cookie thing in the oven, protein cookies, sat down on my email, and here was a list from the teacher. I was like, are you still joining us? And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So I joined in almost 2 hours late, apologized profusely. And that day was like, okay, I have floated through this enough. I need to commit to a schedule. But the honest truth was I was enjoying having no schedule so much that it didn't matter where I was when, that I had gone the complete opposite, I think, to everybody else. Was like, I could live this way forever. I'm worried I'll never go back to work because this is too good. So I cleared, I have all of my tattoo appointments canceled for April, and I had only been doing it a week at a time, but I cleaned my calendar out and started plotting in the things I was doing with alerts in them, and I make sure to check my calendar every day.
Yes.
So that stops happening.
So one of the things that I've been doing for some time is really helpful is, remember I said that there's I want to get 3 things done every day. Yep. I plan that the night before.
Yeah.
So one of the last things I do before I shut down my office at night, I get really clear on what I want the day to look like. And if it's a day where, like tomorrow morning, I normally wouldn't have an appointment at 9 o'clock. I've got one at 9 o'clock. So I will put it on a Post-it note and put it on my bathroom mirror. Mm-hmm. So when I get up in the morning, it'll trigger me to go, okay, I don't normally do this on a Thursday morning. This is what I'm going to do this morning, until you get really into your routine. And I want to say this too. I said, you aim for 3 things or get your routine in place. Again, coming back to being gentle with yourself and being realistic. If you're just figuring out how to do this, then you say, okay, I will get, at least if I can get 1 piece of that tomorrow is a victory. And maybe I only get 1 piece done the next day after that. But then the next day, I'm going to start to get 2 done. And you build up to 3. Like, you don't beat yourself up because you didn't get them all done. Or, you've heard me say this, Alicia, under promise so you can over deliver.
Yes.
So sometimes when people go, oh, I got to whip myself into shape now, they do this litany of things that they're going to do, and they're setting themselves up for failure. It's completely unrealistic. And so, part of it I would say to you is, if you don't absolutely have to be somewhere and you wouldn't normally have this kind of freedom, embrace the freedom. Don't fill it all up. Don't be, I tell you who this is hard for. I know I'm jumping a little bit, the baby boomers. Because the baby boomer generation, we were raised work. Got to be busy, fill the schedule. For those people that are giving her and going all the time, they don't know what to do with themselves.
I
And
have
then
one.
they feel guilty if they sit for 10 minutes. They, I should be doing something productive. Least I could do is fold some laundry while I'm sitting here.
Yeah, and I'm not a boomer, but I'm very guilty of that. I never have the intention of overscheduling myself, and I'm not a workaholic by any stretch. I work a lot, but it's not like, oh, I need to work. I'm not to do it. It's just I keep thinking, well, I could fit one more thing, and if I get that done today, I don't have to do it tomorrow, and that kind of thing. But I do have a comment here I want to read to you from actually a friend of mine, Jeff. I've become incredibly reclusive and depressed during this, and this is nice to hear. I'm glad you're here, and if you have any questions, please, by all means, throw them out. You're not alone, that's for sure. That's exactly how I feel. I always need to do something. I don't feel like I miss the days when I just had one full-time job and I was just tattooing.
Mm-hmm.
I would have like Sundays, if I didn't have to leave the house on Sunday and I could binge watch something all day Sunday, oh, that was my jam. And I never, well, up until COVID, I never got those anymore.
Yeah.
At the same time, I was incredibly happy. And I had this conversation with another business owner friend of mine at the level of productivity I had achieved, and not on purpose, just like I would wake up at a good time and have my breakfast. I was listening to podcasts while I was at the gym, so I was getting those in if I made it to the gym. I would come home and have my supper prep, so it was easy to cook, and I'd sit down and catch up on emails or whatever. Like I had everything down to a science. I slept better because I was tired from a long day of work, and I felt like I was getting enough done to shut my brain off, to go to sleep. I was really happy with that level of production, but now I have completely rebounded to the opposite, where I have never not had a schedule. And the only time I've ever had 2 weeks off from work was a family vacation in 2016, which I still had to check in emails and work because I was the sole proprietor with no employees. And it's, I find it hasn't hit me hard in that way at all. But I know some people, the isolation, the cutoff of work and stuff really has.
And Alicia, just because you just said that I used to have that sort of productive kind of day, the gift that you have is you know how to do that then.
Yeah.
You know how to do that. So you just need to make up your mind that you're going to return to that. That's all.
It's true. And I feel like that is the conflict. I know one thing, a lot of people have said like it's a reset button and I'm not going to go back. And I'm definitely one of those people. Like I know that when I do go back to work, I'm not going to do that to myself where I'm absolutely gunning it to each appointment or meeting or whatever, because I just have enough time scheduled for everything. I say that my intention is to space it out more so that I have this feeling of downtime versus the, wow, I got so much done this week and I'm so glad, but I am wiped.
Yeah. And I did a wisdom table talk about this just on Thursday about acting as if. So I would encourage you, if you really want to say, I don't want to, this is something I have said, I do not want to look back on this time. I see this time as a gift. I don't want to do woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to know that I made good use of it. It doesn't have to be amazing use of it, but I did good stuff and I didn't squander the gift, because there is a gift to all of this.
Yeah.
And so if you are really committed to doing that, then I would encourage you, or anyone, if you say, I want to be somebody who's really productive, or I want to be somebody who's really organized, or I want to be somebody who's eating really healthy, then act as if. And when you go to do something, you would say, if I was somebody who was really committed to eating healthy, would I make this choice right now? Would a super productive person sit here and watch another hour of CNN this morning? They probably wouldn't. They would go and do something that was much more productive.
Mm-hmm.
So that idea of acting as if, acting like that person that you want to become helps you become that person. And I'm talking about fake it till you make it. I'm talking about really try to act as if you are that person.
Yes. And you're right. And I have been trying to meet in the middle already at this. So I had my downtime off where I did nothing. And even with Churro Buzz, like in the beginning, I was like, am I going to keep doing this? Well, I just let it go for now until this is doing. And honest to God, every Monday, I'm like, I'm not going to do a live this week. I'm going to take it off. I never do. I haven't. I always, something comes up and I was like, oh, but this would probably be a really good opportunity to do this. Or same with the newsletter. Like, I'm not doing a newsletter next week. I won't do it. And I do, because and it's not the routine. It's that because
that's what a committed business person does. You made a commitment to give us a weekly newsletter, and you're acting as if you are somebody who's committed, and therefore you show up as somebody who's committed. It works the same way.
And people are, I think I wouldn't do it if I didn't get so many people reach out to me to say, thank you for doing this, or I love that you did this, or someone told me yesterday, like on my own personal account, I do, Glenn just said, hello, wife upstairs. I got some comments to get back. Oh shoot, Glenn, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? I wasn't.
You know what? And I'm distracted too. I'm chuckling at Glenn's comment.
Right, it was hilarious. Yes, instead of having
in the newsletter because of the feedback that people gave.
Right. Yeah, it's on my personal account, I started off doing as kind of a record for myself of doing just a funny check-in video every day. And then as the weeks went on, I was like, are these stupid? Like, you know how you click through people's because you're just tired of seeing them. But I've had so many people send me messages. And yesterday alone said, you got to think that might be one of the positive constant things that people have in their life right now. It's not you're saying anything, mind-blowing or that's going to help people, but it's just a happy distraction or what it is. But what I actually meant to say was I've met in the middle and I've been filling out one of these every day and trying to for the week. It's a to-do list with like your tasks, your errands, your correspondence, and your notes.
Yes.
And so I'm checking it off in, okay, so this is what I start to do today. And at the end of the day, I'll look at what I accomplished or what I pushed to tomorrow kind of thing. So I'm not at the rate of accomplishment that I was at, but I also don't want to be, like I said, that busy. So this has helped me kind of rein it in to make sure that I know what the week looks like of things I need to get done to have some structure. But again, it has been, like you said, being soft with myself to say, like, not beat myself up because I didn't get all those things done. And there was a long time where I would have beaten myself up for not getting the things checked off I needed to.
Yes. There's this great quote from Harry Truman. I think pretty sure it's Harry Truman who said, imperfect action is always better than perfect inaction. So sometimes what happens is people won't do things because they'll say, well, I'm going to wait till I can do them perfectly. Mm-hmm. And I think we just engage in imperfect action. That's always going to be better. That's moving us forward. Because, speaking of quotes, I love Alfred Montepart's don't confuse motion with progress. A rocking horse is in constant motion, but it doesn't go anywhere. And I always say, do you want to just be a rocking horse or do you want to, I say be a racehorse, but you could just do a little trot. At least you're moving forward. So imperfect action will move you forward. Perfect inaction will keep you as the rocking horse, going nowhere. You wear yourself out at the end of the day, but you didn't actually move forward. Yeah.
I got a couple of comments I want to jump back to there. Let me see. So Sam said, I struggle with getting derailed very easily. Amen. Very small things set me back, even when I'm in a small groove, and I have such a hard time getting back up and getting on track. Any thoughts or recommendations, Debbie?
Sam, are you talking about something distracting you and so you go off on a rabbit trail and then come back?
I'll wait for her to comment, but I know I struggle with that as well. And I've said that pretty much every video I've done from the beginning of being off work till now. I find I'm better now going into 6 weeks, but oh my God, those first 3 or 4 weeks, my focus was terrible. I'd start something and then I'd look at something else and then I'd start something else and then move on. And it was just, I couldn't focus on finishing a task without constantly having to like physically bring my focus back.
Okay, so let me offer a few things around that. If this is what it is, you got to turn off your notifications. I do silence my phone and put on do not disturb when I'm working on something. I have to shut my iPad down, turn my notifications off. And my best friend these days is my little buddy right here. It lives on my desk. This is called a time timer. Mm-hmm. It was originally developed for children who had difficulty sitting still for long periods of time. So this is for an entire hour. But what I love about it, I bought it for my public speaking students. But what I love about it is that if I say I'm going to sit here for a half hour and work on my month end for my business, as it times down, I can glance at any time and go, oh, okay, I got a little over 15 minutes left.
Oh, the red is so stressful though, Debbie. I wish I can't show you, but it's this large clock. Yeah. And then she turns it to the time and it gives you the red like pie wheel of your time running out.
So it's at a glance. And so if I say I'm going to commit to that period of time, like for me, I just saw Michelle McCann's comment about working on client projects and stuff. So I'm here and I'm working on something for a client and I can't get distracted because I just want a really good productive 45 minutes. I'll time it in for 45 minutes. And when it's done, it lets me know that I'm done. And then I give myself permission to stop doing that. But otherwise, we are like squirrels and we're all over the place. And it's completely, we know it, so stop doing it.
It's true.
Stop
The first part about it is knowing it.
Take the distractions away. Think of your home workspace as what you would do for those of you who go to a physical office. Would you be watching Days of Our Lives at work? I don't think so. I don't think you would. Or you wouldn't have really crazy music blaring through your house or whatever it is. So it's really about understanding what works for you. We've actually found in our home, my husband's great at doing this. He'll just go shut everything off. He'll shut the TV off. There's something beautiful about being able to work in silence. And I remember one morning, I think I was working and he was in the living room and he was having his tea and he was watching CNN. And then I heard this beautiful instrumental jazz music coming through the house. And he walked in and he said, I thought this would be better for us this morning. And it was just so perfect. It was a quiet morning. It was raining outside. It was just like, okay, I can get some real work done here. So sometimes, we talk about do what you are in control of, not what you're not in control of. So what I am in control of, because I'm not in control of a whole lot these days, I can create the environment that I need to nurture me. And if I'm in a space where I'm distracted because I'm watching cars go up and down the street, then I got to move out of that space. Like don't stay there. We are adults. And so you got to be like grown-ass adults and do grown-ass kinds of things that are going to support you rather than stay in an environment that's not going to be supportive. And you just try to do those things. You try to do those things that are going to nurture you. I made sure I have a plant in my office. I made sure I'm surrounded by not very much clutter and there's things that I like. And when I need quiet, I can have quiet. And if I need some stimulus, I can have some stimulus. But the stuff that's not healthy for me, I know that. And so I can control that. I'm shutting that stuff down.
Sam did answer back and she said, something happens in the new world and I can't go back to what I was working on. I lose all my motivation.
Stay away from the new world. You don't need to be connected to it. We know it logically. It's not healthy to be connected to it 24/7. I have not seen any news today. I said to my husband, when I ran out to get some yogurt in between my class and our thing this evening, I said, did you see any of the provincial news today? He said, no, I didn't need news today. I've been reading a scientific journal all day. And you know what? Our house feels nurturing. It feels good that I'm not denying it, but I don't need to digest it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit like going to a restaurant and they got a buffet and you feel like you got to be eating everything all the time. And when you eat better stuff, you feel better. So it's okay. Like there are certain days, I tell you what, Sunday, I don't think I got dressed and I just sat in front of CBC headline news all day and was I can't even remember what I did on Sunday. I was just in shock. And so I allowed myself to be that way that day. And then I saw more news on Monday. I was like, okay, this is not healthy. And I got to shut this down. So I can't get distracted by that.
Yeah. And that's the hole I fell in on Sunday and Monday as well. Cause I kind of can't stay off social media to a degree. I have to check in and look for notifications or if people are tagging me in things that are happening. And of course, every time I would try and just check in, you go down a rabbit hole of posts and it was horrible. And Monday I cracked hard in the afternoon. It was like I turned my phone off. I cried for a few hours and then it's like, I can't go back to this now. I think I did Monday night. I got online and did a live for the vigil real quick I try to check in, but I don't know if I should have done that. I don't know. But either way, it's definitely hard when I would love to turn off my phone or social media for a few days and just let it happen, let everyone do what they need to do kind of thing. But unfortunately, it's not really practical for me.
But you can turn it off in periods of time. You don't have to be on it. I don't care who you are that you have to be on it 24/7.
No, my God, no, definitely not. I do have a few more comments I want to get here before it gets too long.
I see someone was asking about the time timer, and I'm glad Carrie said she has them at Health Walks. It's a great tool.
Yeah, and that's what I've been putting in. I had a good kids too. A friend of mine who is in a similar position to me where she has 2 or 3 different jobs. And we had a FaceTime meeting a while ago. I was like, how do you manage them all? And she said, my schedule is block, 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 block. I allow myself 2 hours for this. I have 1 hour for this and I have to adhere to it as best.
Yeah.
Kind of. So, Susan.
I saw some comments about Zoom. I saw one Melissa had posted, and I think Reg was talking about isolation. Melissa was talking about spending so much time on Zoom. I hear you, sister. Like it's a different medium. I could be in a classroom all day long, but this is being with all this technology so much, it does affect your body differently. Um, I think it would be helpful to make sure that you build times in when you're not on Zoom. And here's what happens to a lot of people on Zoom. And I caught myself doing this. I would come off Zoom and then I go check out my social media stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was constantly in front of that. Or if I wasn't doing that, then I would go watch the news and the television. So it was about, again, just have complete removal of those things. And then not in the evening saying, I think I'll binge on Netflix now. It's about doing things so that you give that part of your brain and your body a rest and, play a game, do a puzzle, do nothing, read a book, putter in the kitchen, take a nap. Just try to get away from the technology. That will certainly help. But some of us, and Melissa, I see that it's great you're teaching your dancing programs through Zoom, but it's a different kind of application. And you're also using parts of your brain as a teacher that you haven't used before. So this is also exercising new muscles. And part of the fatigue is that those muscles have not found their rhythm yet. I was much more fatigued the first couple of weeks when I was spending long days on Zoom than I am today. I'm finding a rhythm this last 2 weeks. So part of that is you'll probably find that. And I'll go back to Reg. I would say to Reg, maybe you could use a platform like Zoom, or you could use Facebook video or Skype or FaceTime to call a friend. And you know what? You don't even need to chat with the friend. I know people who say there's they're watching something on Netflix and they'll just Skype with a friend and they'll watch it together. And then they'll sort of talk back and forth as if they were physically together, or pour a cup of coffee and call a friend and tell them to pour a cup of coffee, and you will just have a chat. You might need to initiate the check-in, but it is not the same as being with people. But I promise you, it's the next best thing.
Better than nothing.
Better than being isolated. Absolutely. Yeah. And even to do the initiative, it's really good, Reg, if you've got a couple of friends that you could get together with, because then one person doesn't feel like, or the two people don't have to carry the whole conversation. If there's 3 or 4 of you, that's a little easier as well, right? Well, like we've been doing our check-ins, right, Alicia, on Wednesday evenings. And I look forward to that every Wednesday evening, just to see how people are and just be.
I'm thankful for the live that before it, because I never forget it. I always know when that's going to happen, so I haven't missed any of those yet.
Yeah.
We have some more comments I want to get to there for you, Debbie. Susan said she loves how you deliver your message in a direct and straightforward way, and she admits to being a boomer. And Hema said, yes, guilty too, raised by boomers and not far off from the edge of a boomer myself. Carrie said it was a great phrase, on purpose. As hard as it's been, COVID has been a pattern interrupt, and the gift can be, what do we want to do on purpose when things are not on lockdown? Absolutely.
Yeah. And we can start to live with that purpose now. We don't have to wait to come out of it. We can begin today.
That's right. And that's where I found myself personally going into the 6th week. I had the emotional roller coaster. I had my time off, and now I'm trying to curb into what is going to be a healthier work day going forward.
I'm going to check in with you next Wednesday, Miss Alicia, and see if you had a better week. I believe that you will have a better week.
Each week has been a little bit better for sure. And like I said, now that I've physically made that point to clear out my schedule of what's been canceled that I've been leaving in there and set a new one, and my to-do pad, I'm having a lot less problems with that.
And so what percentage of your calendar do you not want to fill in? You just want to have what we call it white space. I love white space because there's no plan. You can do absolutely everything and nothing.
See, not only do I not have white space in my calendar, I have 4 calendars that overlap each other between my tattoo schedule, my Truro Buzz schedule that we need to know, and I would have Tasha doing. And then there was like my personal schedule of like, oh, this is my doctor's appointment or my dentist appointment. And then there was another schedule on top of that. So
wow, that's a lot. So this week moving forward, how much white space do you want to build in? Like 25% of your schedule?
I think for sure, yeah. And especially, what another problem for me is that my partner more than half the year works away, so I can work those insane hours and it doesn't matter. So if I'm working till 10 o'clock at night eating food at my desk or living at my desk, it doesn't matter. But now he's home and will be, for how long. I want to have a healthier schedule when he's here. Melissa did say, definitely enjoying having some downtime at home, but struggling with the Zoom fatigue, which we just talked about. My fabulous faculty have moved to teaching online, which is amazing. And my nieces are doing that. And I think it's great. Seeing the kids is amazing. It's something about not being able to be physically present with them that is really draining. Absolutely. You're all feeling it, and easy to tell that the kids are too. Michelle was like, focus. What's that? Squirrel. Judy, lots of great advice here. She's the timers. Oh, they sell the timers. That's good too.
Yeah. Carrie at Health Walks sells the timers.
Right. So Charlie, if you didn't see that, Health Walks Truro on Prince Street up by Great British Grub, and not to mention the amazing shoe department they have there. I may or may not be wearing my
Birkenstock season.
I got for my birthday. I have the Birkenstocks that I wear at work, but I found in the winter it was like I'm cramming my wool socks into them, and I was like, I want the fuzzy slippers. So I got those for my birthday, and I am very chuffed with how great they are. Okay, so she saw that. Sorry, I'm just catching up, guys. I love you for commenting. God love you. Amen to that. We all need a little Debbie wisdom. Amen. Charlie wants fittings. Miss you, Judy. Thank you. Or going from Zoom meeting to Zoom meeting to Zoom meeting. Yeah, and I definitely don't have that. And I know lots of times I forget other people are working, especially my sister, who I'm very close with. And I'm like, Kelly, text, Kelly, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm in a freaking meeting. Like, calm down. But yeah, I can't imagine what it's like to spend all day on top. Like I do this 2 or 3 times a week max.
Yeah.
So that's a whole different fatigue they're feeling.
Well, it's a new skill set. We're learning to do it differently. As I said, we're exercising new muscles. Our body is a part of it. Our mind is a part of it. Our eyes are a part of it. And it's a skill set, how to be able to navigate it and stay. I think part of a skill set that we'll probably have to be teaching as we move forward is how to host really good Zoom sessions too, because not all facilitators are good. So people get distracted or they get bored. There's all kinds of things. Like there's games for Zoom meetings and all kinds of stuff that you can do to make them more interesting. That's all being developed. Yeah.
There is a great social app. If you haven't heard from it already, House Party. I meet every second week with my friends in Newfoundland. Actually, there's about 8 of us that get together on a Friday night, and we just have a beer or a drink, and we play some games on that. And it's really, it helps a lot. So that it's cool to hear that Zoom has that for meetings too. Although I can't imagine fighting the distraction I'm already fighting to add something else to that. Stephanie Milbury says, thank you for helping us normalize this emotional roller coaster we are all in. Yeah, it really is. I've leveled out, I feel, for the most part, but I mean, good God, it took 5 weeks. Like it's crazy. It's crazy the different emotions and places people are finding them in. And in, like Sam said earlier, the new world and the changes of things. I mean, you're constantly having to adapt, and that's really hard on people.
Yeah. Yeah. And to quote, I'm in quoting mood tonight, but I've been reading David Kessler's book on finding meaning, and he's the renowned leader in grief. And, it was Kessler who said that the way that we each grieve is as unique as our individual fingerprints. And I thought that was a great way to put it. And that we don't need someone to lighten us up or make it better for us and make it go away. We just need someone to bear witness to our grief. Yeah. And we can bear witness for them, and they can bear witness for us. And that's part of doing the connectivity right now. And that's part of being able to be there for each other. And I would say to employers, don't be afraid to talk about the grief that your team is going through. Make that a part of your Zoom meetings, because when something like this happens, just COVID itself, there's a whole grieving process, and we'll go through stages of grief, and you don't necessarily you don't have to go through the stages in order. You'll have some people are still in denial, and some people are bartering, and some people are in anger, and some people are shifting into acceptance. Wherever they may be, it's important not to be afraid to have that conversation, because if you're not having the conversation, it feels kind of weird. Like, why aren't we talking about this elephant that's in the room? Mm-hmm. And when we name the elephant, that that gives everyone permission to really talk about how they're really feeling. It's just about being a human being. That's all. And
Yeah.
being compassionate and kind and patient and gentle with one another. I had some participants this week who said, I can't start my program today. I'm just too weepy, or it's not in me. And you know what? That's okay. They'll be back next week. We'll be happy to see them. And some people weren't sure. And I said, join us. If you feel you can't, then you can exit. That's the nice thing about Zoom. You can zoom in, zoom out, and everybody has stayed. But I think it's just about meeting people where they are and not having any judgment about it.
And that's one thing I don't like to use the word regret, but on Monday past, our beloved Sam and her Women's Social Network had a roundtable Zoom session, and I had planned to attend, but I had such an emotional crash on Monday afternoon that I couldn't fathom checking into that, and I didn't want to be a downer on the group. And I had chatted with her after, and she'd said how it was great, and at least one person cried at least once throughout the evening. I was like, oh well, I could have really tuned in and listened. I didn't even have to have a camera on if I just wanted to hear it. And I'm sad that I didn't do that, but it was what I needed at the time. A few more comments there.
We are more alike than we are unalike, right? So when we just sometimes need one person to start it, and it opens up the door to give others permission to share wherever they're coming from as well. And, I appreciated that, Hema, right? That we don't need anyone to tell us how to grieve, and we don't need somebody else to tell us what's normal, because there ain't nothing. We should just throw away that word normal. There's nothing normal. We are where we are and how we are.
Yeah. Heather said that this has been a real pick-me-up, and she said the podcast is fantastic as well.
Oh, thank you.
Kelly said to feel all the feels and then let it through the donut hole. And said, yeah, some people, Jeff said, I'm in anger, I'm frustrated. I got frustrated checking in on people, but no one was doing the same to me. And I found I shut down because of it. And yeah, there's a lot of emotions flying around. That's for friggin' sure. And I know I felt bad. I don't know if this is the case for your people, Jeff, but I have thought about messaging people, and then by the time there's so much going on in my head all the time. I realize, oh my God, that was like 4 days ago that I was going to write and say, hey, how are you doing? Kind of thing. Like the passage of time is so different now. I know for me, where I'm not working, that it is just like Groundhog Day over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. If I could call on people to do one thing, it would be to make sure that every day you're checking in on somebody that you probably wouldn't ordinarily check in on. If somebody's name comes in your mind, check in on them. Just to reach out. And even if they don't feel like talking a whole lot, it will mean a great deal to them that you checked in on them. Even to send them a text message and say, wondering how you're feeling. If you're up for a Zoom call or a chat, that would be great. I just saw my friend Brenda Belanger from St. John made a comment there. But, on Sunday, Brenda was one of the first people to reach out and check in on us because she was hearing what was happening in Truro. Those things mean a lot to individuals.
Oh my God, I couldn't believe I had a friend in Montreal who wrote me, who I haven't talked to in a better part of a year. And he was like, you're the only person I know in Truro. Are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm in my house and it's okay. Yeah, it's crazy. Charlie said, I almost had an emotional breakdown just trying to shop for milk and cream yesterday. Oh my gosh. Every grocery store I went to had a lineup outside. I was almost in tears and then calmed down. Remember to have drugstores carry milk and went there. Good. And you're not alone in those emotional overwhelms, that's for sure. Brenda said, this feels so good to hear how everyone is doing. This is so great of you. Thank you. Allison said, I feel sad every time. Oh, I lost it. Every time I pass the winner sign. Allison, I have a winner's card in my purse that is burning a hole. I am dying to go there. It makes me so sad. I totally understand what you're saying. And Susie said, I needed to hear Debbie's voice and see her face. Yeah, I'm literally every week I'd say, like, I'm just gonna put Trobuzz down for a bit. I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna take some time off. And I haven't been able to do it
because you can't, because this is a forum that is needed because you are being of service. And people need this kind of connectivity. So you can't not do that, Alicia.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I know, but honestly, that fills my cup to
Yeah.
the nth degree. So I'm really glad people tuned in and asked questions. And Instagram, I'm so sorry. I thought I had it right this week, but it wouldn't let me join her to the conversation for some reason.
Probably on my end.
Yeah, I hope that you could hear her okay. And if you didn't catch it, we are talking with Debbie Lawrence, who on Instagram is Debbie Lawrence Official. You can also find her on Abundant Living. And on Facebook, I don't have her tagged on BeLive now because it won't let me tag it from this platform. But
Debbie Lawrence, public figure on Facebook, predominantly. Yeah.
Right. And I will, once it actually is housed on Facebook, I can go in and edit it and tag you. I just couldn't do it for the beginning. Okay. So, Julie, I miss Winners. Yeah, I know. Thank you, Michelle. Addison says that Debbie sounds like Aunt Minnie. That's hilarious. That's an aunt of ours. And
right.
Dear to us. That's amazing.
I think of Minnie Pearl when you say that.
Oh, that's so funny. Instagram, you may cut off because I know we're going on an hour, though. Jeff, it was awesome to see you. Send me a message. Loud and clear, craft beer biker. I hope you're almost done your isolation as well. We were commiserating about that because he had gotten back from travel. So yeah, I don't want to keep you too long. I know we've got another meeting there tonight, but I can't thank you enough for doing this.
It was fun, and I'm grateful to have an opportunity just for us to talk about this, because this is my life's work, and this is what I'm really passionate about, and I think it resonates with people, and we need to be talking about these kinds of things. And I hope that as individuals, people will continue this conversation with their friends and family and coworkers. Tomorrow, have a conversation about being compassionate with one another at work.
Absolutely. And if you want any more follow-up with this with Debbie and talk about her excellent work, you can find her on Instagram or Facebook on Debbie Lawrence Official.
Debbie Lawrence, public figure on Facebook.
On Facebook, Debbie Lawrence, public figure. And Abundant Living still have pictures.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Which is the name of her company. So thank you so much for doing this. Thank you to all of you guys for tuning in and all of your questions. It was it was what my soul needed. I don't know about anybody else, but I feel a lot better.
And be gentle. Be gentle.
Absolutely. Be kind with ourselves. And if you haven't signed up for the newsletter, you still have time. It's coming out tomorrow morning. All right. Everybody have a great week.
Night, everybody.
Okay. I'm just going to one at a time here.